Welcome to Behind the Backline, the podcast where we chat with merchants, brands, and industry professionals in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space about their products, services, industry trends, stories, and more. Join us now as we dig into the stories behind our favorite backline gear.
Welcome to episode 26 of Behind the Backline. I'm Matt Jacoby of Octave Media, and today I am talking with Jim Peckham of DrumART.com. Thank you for joining me today, Jim.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for having me. I've been listening to the podcast for a bit. I'm excited to be included with some of the companies that you've had on. They've been great, and others that I didn't know about, but who are obviously doing good work. And I think it's a really cool thing you're doing. It's kind of nice to pull back the curtain a little bit and show that there really is a man behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, thanks for the support. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And you guys have been probably one of my longest running as a consumer companies that I've used just in terms of my own drum heads, which is awesome.
Well, that's great.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, we'll return the favor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, if you wanted to start us off with telling us a little bit about who you are and what DrumART does.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Jim Peckham. I'm the owner. Well, my business card says It says I'm the owner, president, CEO, CFO, COO, and janitor at DrumART.com. And also we have a new sister company called GrillGraphics.com, which is basically DrumART for guitar players.
Cool.
I run that with my partner John, and that's custom grill cloths. But as any entrepreneur will tell you, that's the title's only funny because it's true. So so we make custom printed front bass drum heads, as the name DrumART might imply, and custom printed grill cloths now with Grill Graphics. It may not make people ask all the time, like, what do you do for a living? And it's really kind of hard to explain it. So usually I'll just say, like, think Buddy Rich and his shield, or Gene Krupa and the shield on the front drum head, or I don't know, the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, or Keith Moon's, that RAF like rondel thing that he had with the Who, or Bonham's rings, or whatever. That's what we do. So basically putting whatever artwork you want on a front bass drum head for your band, or for you as just personally, whatever. As for me, I live in upstate New York. I work in upstate New York. I have a wife, Melissa, 2 kids, Abby and Andy. Oh, actually 3 kids. As I was telling you before, we're hosting an exchange student from France this year, Arnaud. So I have now 3 kids this year. I'm a 5th generation drummer. My uncle, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, who was like an oompa, played in an oompa band in Germany in like the 1800s. And actually my son, Andy, he makes 6 generations, I guess. Well, as long as he practices more, he will. Although that was always my problem too.
Amen.
Yeah, right. This is not an uncommon problem. As for the business, I started DrumART in '97. Technically, I made one for myself, and I go out and play shows, and people are like, "That's cool. Where can I get that?" So I started making them for other people. In the beginning, I was maybe doing 5-10 a month in '97, and now we print 100 to 120 a week. So it's grown quite a bit. We have a shop it's in the Helderberg Mountains in upstate New York. It's about a 4,000 square foot facility. We produce everything here. We ship all over the world. So it's a little cottage industry up here on the mountain. We have 6 employees. Well, 3 of them are myself and my 2 kids. So I don't know if that qualifies. So it's a family business. Let's call it that.
Okay.
But and I work with a number of contract designers on project, like a project by project. Well, actually, you know what? Come to think of it, as you said before, there's actually 8 employees here, because we have Sparky, who's a German short-hair pointer. He's our director of security. And then we have Polly, who's our new, she's a Great Dane, and she's the assistant director of security. So that's 8 employees. I feel much more important that way.
Do you feel that the dogs have the most important job at the company? Or?
Yeah, well, they clearly they're morale more than anything. And then you can pay them in dog food, so it's good.
Yeah, director of cuteness wasn't as appealing either. Probably.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It didn't seem quite as imposing. I need to, we have a lot of equipment here, so I got to scare people. We have I mean, basically every print technology under the, we have a 4x8 foot flatbed UV printer that we direct print. We print right on drum heads. We have like two wide format solvent based printers. We have 12 color aqueous printer. We have a full dye sublimation rig for the grill graphics, for printing grill cloths, just a ton of stuff. And then there's a bunch of sort of support equipment like 4x8. We have a 3-axis CNC router. We have a die cutting press. We have a 4x8 flatbed, tons of stuff. And not to mention a 7-piece drum kit set up in the supply room. So, you got to remember where your roots are, I guess.
Is that the break room? The drums?
Supply room / break room. So so that's basically the company. And we just come up here and churn them out.
Yeah, and I will attest to that. I mean, the fact that you guys make that many in a week and have such quick turnaround time, I feel like I always have gotten mine in a few days. It's been a really quick turnaround, and it's crazy.
Well, it's funny. That's like my philosophy has always been just ruthless efficiency. So the more efficient that we can make anything, whether it's with a new printer or whether it's with a new person or whether it's with a new method, like way of doing things. I mean, I've always been sort of like, my dad always, we worked together. He was a big part of this company, and we worked together for many years until he died a few years ago. But he one of his big things to me was he would always say, and it's one of those tried and true things, to a man with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? So I never wanted to be the guy with the hammer. I always wanted to have a toolbox, so that's one of the reasons that we have all these print technologies. It's one of the reasons we can turn stuff around so quickly, is because depending on what you're looking for as a customer, we basically have you covered. If you want to do basically anything. I mean, we've done, from Todd Suckerman's, matching from sticks. He has a waterfall Babinga kit from Pearl, and we matched the finish on that and printed the heads and matched the Pearl logo to the gold of the we call it the hardware. So, stuff like that, we can do it. Or if you just want a simple white on black, logo with your band name on it, we can do that. And we just try to, like I said, be ruthlessly efficient about every aspect of our business.
And just watching the featured head thing flip here on your website for the last half hour, I can attest that I can't imagine there's anything you can't do. They're all different.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, and I like to do stuff like that. It's hard, it takes a while. It goes against the ruthlessly efficient, sort of philosophy or mantra that we have here, because every one of those that you do takes a lot of time. But by the same token, it's fun. It keeps it interesting. I remember like a couple of years ago, Mary J. Blige she was doing a tour, and she had like a picture of her where she was wearing like red sequin boots. So we basically made the boots actually like actual red sequins, and her logo and stuff. And it was just fun to do. I mean, it's not, if somebody called me up and said, "Hey, can you do this?" I'd say, "Yeah, but it's going to cost you, it's going to take 2 weeks or whatever, and it's going to cost X amount of money." But we can do all that stuff, which is pretty cool. And we've done dry erase boards. We've done all kinds.
Dry erase drum heads.
Yeah, they make it. Yep, it's. Yeah, so anybody can sketch like for any show. It was actually for an artist, a guy who was like an illustrator. So he would literally do an illustration for every show that they did that was either had something to do with the venue or the city or whatever. So it was pretty cool. I mean, some of the stuff he sent was as cool as anything you could come up with, and it's kind of like, when Buddhist monks do those sand mandala things, and it takes them 3 days, and then they just pick it up and they dump it in a river. It was like that. It's like, dude, you just erased that? Like, how did that feel? But it's, there's no end to, we've done more than 50,000 heads now. And it's, so there's basically nothing we haven't done.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm watching the proof here just float in front of my eyes.
That's only like 35,000 of them up there. I'm way behind on getting that. So, but still.
I was going to say, I haven't seen any repeats, which means this is a really long thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Like, I wanted to kind of ask, because as I've been a web developer and digital guy for a while myself, I kind of wanted to see, like, you got this guy who, I can't remember his name, but he developed the Flash career
Yes.
and everything to help you build these or build your own? Walk through that, how that works.
Well, yeah. So same background probably. I was a web developer. I sort of got into the web early, like in the early '90s, mid '90s, and then parlayed that into a pretty cushy job. I was the web director at Union College, which is like a pretty decent, liberal arts school here in upstate New York. And so I had a good, it was a good gig. And but at the same time, I was building a website for DrumART. I was kind of, and that original website was basically just like, fill out a form, send us your artwork, we'll take it from there. And what I realized was, we're missing a lot of people who don't have artwork, or we're missing people who are not like Photoshop experts or whatever. So I don't have a Flash background. My background was in Cold Fusion and sort of back-end development. Okay. So I contracted with this guy. He's the same guy who did SJC's site at the time. I talked to Mike, and he said, talk to this other guy, and I did. And he built this, we call it the head builder, which is essentially you can either upload your own artwork, and you can format the artwork on the website. You can resize it. You can change the background color. You can add ports, add drum manufacturer logos. I mean, you name it, move stuff around, whatever. It's drag and drop. It's pretty simple. It's not, it's not Photoshop, but it's not supposed to be. But then as part of that, I thought, well, there's this whole other group of people who don't have, like camera ready to go artwork. I don't want to leave them out. So we built this whole other thing with a back end connection to a huge stock image and photo and illustration repository. And so if you go to our so there's three sort of channels that you can use to purchase a Drumhead, which is, you can upload your own artwork and format it yourself. You can go through our catalog, which has, I think now, upwards of like 70 or 80 million images in it. And you can go through, you basically can search, like, let's say your band name is the Big Dogs. So you search Big Dogs, and you'll come up with literally tens of thousands of images that you can choose to use on your Drumhead. You click the one you want, it loads into the head builder, and then you can add text, you can change colors, you can resize, you can move stuff around, you can rotate, you can add ports, the whole nine. And that to me was the gateway to a larger, much larger, customer base. And it's worked out that way. I would say a quarter to a third of the heads that we receive, well, actually, probably 3/4 or more, maybe 80%, come through the head builder. So people either upload their artwork and format it themselves, or they go through the catalog and do the formatting that way. And then, but it's this group of people who are not Photoshop experts. They don't have their own artwork. They just want cool, like a cool design. And they have that you can do in the head builder. And then the third way that you can place your order is you can say, you know what, I'm not computer savvy, whatever. However, whatever it is, you can go through a third order process, which is essentially leave it to us, which is, tell us what size drum you have, how many ports you want, if you want port protectors, and then send us your artwork and we'll take it from there. And we'll do the formatting, we'll clean it up, we'll resize it, we'll do all this stuff that, people don't necessarily have the tools or the experience. So yeah, it's just been, it was, and actually we're in the process right now of redesigning that whole thing, not in Flash. That's the one downside of it, is that it's in Flash. Mm-hmm. So we're taking it out of Flash. That's underway right now. So it'll be accessible on all platforms, mobile platforms, and then as well as from what I understand from our developer, we're going to be able to layer artwork. So if you want to have upload your own or use say a background from the catalog, but upload your own PNG file or whatever of your band logo. Your band, so let's say you have some separate logo you want to put on top of that, you'll be able to do that. So stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty advanced compared to what's there now.
Gotcha. And I'm not sure if I've even actually used that. I think I may have even submitted on the old way, if I remember right. But Either way, no, it's great that you can take that control out of their hands, or let them, or give it to them, so that they're not relying on somebody else to do the artwork. It's great. Yeah, exactly. And we try to again, it's about being efficient. When there's that iterative back and forth of oh no, I want this changed, and no, can you move this there? Can you add a port? Can you delete a port? It just takes time. And when you're churning out 100+ of these a week, it's that's tough. And it's not for everybody. I mean, we get this. We get people who are genuinely frustrated and angry that we're not able to kind of call them and talk them through it, which is, I get that.
but we have 100 other customers at any given time who didn't do that and don't need that, and they are trying to pay the same amount of money. You know what I mean? So it's just we tend to farm that out to we have a probably probably 8 or 10 designers that we use, like graphic designers that we use, and we'll just say, look, we can do it. We can give you this. We can send you information or from a person who is good at this type of artwork or this type of design, and you can work with them and then upload. But we just don't have the ability to do it. You know what I mean? Like in-house, but it works out really well. Those designers are people that we've worked with for literally decades. So it's, and they love it because their day job might be with, I don't know, like Symantec or whatever, but during the evening hours, they're happy to take $100 here and there and, churn out a cool design for somebody. And usually people are happy to pay it. Some are not. It's just like any other creative thing, like, play my bar for free, like that you get the pay to play, thing. And it's like, well, no, wait a minute. We're bringing people into your venue. You got to pay us. And it can be the same with designers, oh, what do you mean it's going to cost me $100 for 2 hours of your time? So it kind of, there's that part of it. And the thing that burns me most about that is, wait a minute, you guys are musicians, you people, not guys, but, men and women, you're musicians, there's value to creativity, so, don't balk when somebody says, yeah, I mean, I can't just do this for free. But I shouldn't even, that happens so infrequently, that it's really not an issue, but it happens enough that it's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I think that's a similar story across the country. I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you can. Exactly.
So out of, it's hard to pick out of, what do you say, 50,000 plus now?
Yeah.
Any favorites that are truly proud works of art or that just happen to make your wall? Is there like a requirement that they make your wall? Yeah,
well, no, I generally don't reprint anything ever for anyone, including myself. I'm pretty, like, I don't know, uptight about, that's your artwork. I don't own it. You own it. So we don't really tend to reproduce stuff. I will say one of the very, very first, actually, the very first big client that we had was Bill Kreutzmann from the Grateful Dead. And Bill is he's a digital artist as well as obviously one of the drummers for the Dead. And he wanted to put his own digital creations on his drum, and he's still using them. I mean, this was 17 years ago. So that's a testament to how long they last too. But anyway, so if you've seen the Dead, you've seen these heads. And it was really funny because, like, those are ones where at the beginning I was like, oh man, I really want to print those out and have them, you know what I mean? Just so I can have them. But I didn't do it. And he actually was gracious enough after Katrina hit, we did this thing where we basically contacted some of our bigger clients and asked them if we could reproduce their heads and auction them off for hurricane relief. So he was gracious enough to say yes, and we raised $10,000, and then it was matched by the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation. So we raised like $20,000. But his are ones that I would be proud to have on my wall. If we're gonna do that. But yeah, and actually, as another sort of aside to that story, I grew up in the '80s. I was a big Yes fan, and the call that came in to from Bill's like handler, not manager, but whatever they call those guys, they're his assistant, was essentially, hey, this is so and so. I represent Bill Kreutzmann. He got your name from Alan White of Yes, and he wants some drum heads made. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Thanks. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll have it help. And we went through the whole process. And then I got off the phone, and like the kids were young, and my wife was like, the hell was that? Because I like left the room, I had to be real quiet, had to be professional, I had to make them think that like this was a big company. Like, what was that all about? And I was like, oh my God. That was this guy, and Bill Kreutzmann wants this thing done. And Alan White from Yes gave him my number. And I've never done anything for Alan White. And I have no idea how the hell Alan White has my phone number, but somehow and it goes to the smallness of the music industry. And, somebody must have told him that we had done something for somebody down in the past. And I was like, holy crap, this was like, it was just cool. It was one of those moments where I was like, this might actually work. And my wife was like, this might actually work. So,
isn't it a great feeling when you're like, oh, I hit that. I've made it.
It was out of nowhere. It was like 8:00 on a Tuesday. It was like, it was just a bizarre. It was just bizarre. It was very strange. But
have you done one for Yes Now?
I don't think so. No, we've done them for Yes cover bands, obviously a million of them, but I don't think we've done them for Yes. And I don't even know how that came to be. I'm not even sure. I still don't know. I don't know Alan White. He doesn't know me. So I just don't know how that happened.
He just happens to have your phone number for some
reason. I
probably
would. So what happens with a lot of these bands is that the drummers will, so like, we've done work with, countless big bands. And normally what happens is that the drummer will get like a number for a company, or they'll say, I want this done. Here's a company. Or, he might've been on tour with somebody who he had done one for, or he may have seen one, or he may have known somebody. Everybody knows everybody. And then somebody might have said, oh, I should do that. And then never did, or gave it to their management company. And their management company said, oh no, we work with Tour Supply on everything. So we're going to just get it through them, or whatever. You just don't know how these connections get made or missed. But it was one of those things where it was just like, oh my God, that's, okay, I'll take that.
So how has it been, like, you've been going since 97. How has it been to balance the growth of this with, 5 job titles and then a 6th if you're adding your family on top of it? What's the growth process been like?
Well, it's funny that, that's as any entrepreneur will tell you, you don't do this because it's not a job.
Yeah.
This is a passion. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I would do anywhere. I'd do something. It's funny. I remember going to a career coach early on, because I was at Union and doing DrumART until 2008, and it just became untenable. I just couldn't do it anymore, and I had to decide, okay, am I going to leave this cushy job where my kids get to go to school for free, when they get old enough, or am I going to try and give this a shot? And it was literally, and I'm not lying, literally 2 weeks before Lehman Brothers tanked. And so I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. Screw it. I'm doing it. And I put in my notice, and I left Union, and I bought, actually we had a mortgage on the house anyway. We bought our second mortgage. I bought a big printer. I was doing that anyway. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. We're going to do it. And then Lehman Brothers tanked, and I went like ghost white, and I looked at my wife. She's got a very good job, and that was very helpful at that time. But I was like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? And the funny thing was, what happens in times of stress, I'm convinced, just from my own experience, is that people go and they do what they love, right? So people love to play drums. They go play drums. People, if you're stressed out, you go do what you like. And our price point is such that, it's not like a super heavy lift. So, you want to spend you're going to buy a new bass drum head anyway. It's going to be $50. So what's another $50 or $40 or whatever to get one that has exactly what I want on it, And so when I had all my time to dedicate to and focus on the business, we exploded during that time. It was unbelievable. But to your question about balance, that's a tough thing. When you have, I'm sure you live in it every day too. When you have this thing that you're trying to cultivate and build, and then you also have this other thing you're trying to cultivate and build, like your family or your hobbies or whatever. Your band. I've bowed out of bands. I haven't played in a band in probably 4 or 5 years now, which is tough. But you make these decisions. When my kids get older and out of the house, then maybe I'll do it again. So, that's, you balance by balancing. There's no other, it's like you do by doing. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, no, I'm living your dream now a few years later, but it's the last couple of years of doing this, and it's still, a little bumpy, and but it's definitely better than it was 2 years ago. So that's always a plus.
Well, and I think that's what happens. And like you, before we started talking on the recording, whatever, you had asked about repeat customers. that is, you don't get repeat customers until you get customers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, so once you get then you start to build this critical mass where people just come to you, and that's just because that's what, that you've done good work for them. They know that you're an honest person. They know that you're earnest and you do good work for a reasonable price, whatever. That's how you build a clientele. And it takes time and it takes effort and it takes sacrifice and all those things. But eventually it does become, not, I don't want to say self-sustaining, but it just becomes less work.
Yes.
Or less of that type of work anyway.
Or at least less janitorial and more CEO, right?
Right, exactly. Well, sadly, no, yes. And I think that's, I definitely have been able to, moving up to our building now has given us the ability to expand. I mean, when you're in manufacturing, space is always sort of a big consideration. These machines are big, like huge. I couldn't fit our UV printer in my garage, so, there's the dog. Sounds like somebody's here. The director of security just informed me. But so it's with manufacturing, that's one of the big issues is that you need to have some. There he is again. You need to have some space to expand and nothing happens quick. Well, I mean, some things happen quickly, I guess, but that hasn't been my experience.
Yeah. How long have you been in this location?
4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. So, and we've filled every damn corner of this place too. So, it's like, we keep, you're like, I now I need a router. Now I need a whatever, like you just find, I don't know. There is something to be said for constraints, because you don't get to just do everything you want all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, as soon as you buy a bigger house, then it's like, you accidentally fill it.
Yep. That's right.
We moved a couple of years ago and we're like, we're going to maintain the stuff that we have and not add to it. Like, oops, how did that happen? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, our kids are 16 and 14 now. So we're like looking down the barrel of empty nesting. And I'm like, how are we going to get rid of all this crap so we can downsize as soon as he's out the door? Like that, it's just, I don't know. It's a tough, I mean, first world problems, right?
Exactly. And you could just sell a house, couldn't you? And just move into the manufacturing space.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I can fit a bed in here.
Hey, it's your passion. You're surrounded by it all the time, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, that was honestly, it's funny when like I used to joke that my commute was 50 feet because we have I have an outbuilding outside, on my property, and that was where the shop was, and it was like 800 square feet, and I filled every part of that, and I was hanging stuff from the ceiling, but my commute was 50 feet, and that was great, but it was also awful because my commute was 50 feet. So I just like, an email came in, I better go out there and deal with it, there is something to be said for like a buffer.
Yeah.
But again, it takes time.
You couldn't also track any taxes for do the mileage log for
right, exactly.
Time, right? It's like I'm just walking.
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, I kind of wanted to let you get a chance to share the website, social media, and let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So the website, there's two, the two websites are DrumART.com and GrillGraphics.com. GrillGraphics is just getting off the ground. We're really excited about it. You look at how well we've done with drummers who are very cool and very humble, and then you think about guitar players who are egomaniacs, and they're all about themselves, and that's all they want to do is look good and be the center of attention. No, I'm kidding. Send all complaints to Matt Jacoby.
They're always kicking. They're always kicking and feeling their waist. And what's going on?
No, but we're just our hope is that by providing something that's easy to install and easy to use, removable and all that stuff, that guitar player we're all about sort of integrating the stage, the look on the stage. So anyway, grillgraphics.com, drumart.com. Check out our gallery, check out the catalog of images. I mean, any questions, anybody's always welcome to email me directly to drumart.com or just fill out on the website, whatever. So I just,
awesome.
I just really appreciate the opportunity to be on. This is great.
Yeah, it was great to have you. And I just got to say before I go, I like the idea of cohesive branding on the stage. Next will be keyboards. People still use keyboards on stage depending on the genre. Just kind of having that the drum head should carry throughout, and that makes sense.
The thing is this: you're on stage. You're dragging this crap all up on stage anyway. Yeah. Why would you want a black drum head? Why would you want empty grill cloths? It's how many times have you been in a venue or at a show and been like in a bar and scream at the person next to you, who is this? And then they're like, I don't know. If you have your stuff on on your equipment that you're dragging up there anyway. Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
So
most people don't carry those giant expandable banners or anything where they just place it around the bar.
you don't have time. You got 3 bands on the bill, especially if you're playing. I mean, for cover bands maybe, but for original music, you're got 5-10 minutes to get off the stage. So the way we've always looked at it is that this is really a way to brand your band and get your name out there and get it in front of people. And by the way, it looks cool and they last forever. So.
As long as the logo is readable and it's not just letters and just an image and you're like, I don't know who it is. It's just a picture.
Well, that's a funny thing because there's a whole other group of people that we do work for. And those are the people who just want something custom. They just want something that they can make that can be their own. So you go buy an instrument, you go buy a drum kit and it has a really cool finish, but it's the same finish that any number of people can buy or have. The way you make that yours is by, putting DrumART on it. Mm-hmm. At least that's art. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Works for me, and I got 2 of them to prove it. So
I appreciate it.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah, it's been great having you again, and look forward to buying my next head again.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for listening to Behind the Backline, brought to you by Octave Media, an inbound marketing agency focused on helping music merchants develop an automated solution to increase website sales. You can find Octave Media at www.octave.media. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes or Google Play Music to learn more about great products and companies in the musical instrument, pro audio, and event technology space, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you thought of this episode. We encourage you to share us with your friends and colleagues via social media, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Hey guys, Matt here from Behind the Backline. I recently released a free on-demand training called 3 Steps to Drumming Up More Website Sales. During the 9-minute video, you'll learn the secrets to streamline your brand's image and dramatically increase your website sales. If you're a music brand or a retailer and you want to increase your website sales, go to octave.media/drumoffer today. That's octave.media/drumoffer. And thanks for listening to Behind the Backline.